Okay, you can go ahead and click on untitled one. You can name it as Python practice day one or whatever. Just rename it. Right. So, of course, the fundamental aspect here is nothing but we will write code, all the code in Python. So this code has to be executed using, of course, your computer. Your processor will compute it. You have a compiler of Python that runs the code and that executes all the things you want to run in a very simple way. So all this Jupyter notebook or Eclipse, Raj was showing you, or there is something called Spider installed by your Anaconda also, or PyCharm. There are several IDEs. IDEs are nothing but interactive, what's the full form? Interactive development environment, right? Interactive development environment where you should be able to write code, save it, or that's a very basic function, but essentially the entire packages or the entire products are built on all these IDEs. Jupyter is an IDE very suitable for data science environment because we need to show a lot of output on the screen with the code sometimes, and it opens in the browser, so it's portable. It's very easy to use. But Jupyter is not something which is production ready where you can write production code. So you may have to move to another IDEs, any another IDEs. But throughout the course, we'll show it everything in Jupyter only because it's more explainable on Jupyter. In fact, when you go to real industry also, as long as this is more of a proof of concept or you are still experimenting, and you can afford to keep the code on Jupyter notebook. So the difference between Jupyter or let's say any other IDEs, there's no much difference. It's just the UI difference because everything runs on a Python compiler. You run, it executes the code. And this Jupyter notebook makes it very easy for beginners, right? So there are some shortcuts which you can learn later, but during the class I'll keep on using keyboard shortcuts. Is something you can do. You can learn later, but one command which I'll teach you immediately is like, let's say a is equal to 3, print of a, shift plus enter executes the line code and prints our output. The command is shift plus enter. Not only it executes, it opens your next cell to write. In Jupyter, each box is called a cell where you write the code. And once you execute it, the output is visible here itself. Guys, everyone, I want you to replicate this and let me know if you are able to do it or not. No. Vamsi, Python has to be installed and configured to Jupyter only. Then you should be able to run Jupyter notebook. Okay, perfect. Sunil and Raj. All right. Others? Perfect. Right. Raghavendra done. Anyone else who are not able to do it? All good? Good. I think more of you are coming back again to visiting. I want to hear from Devamita. Okay, superb. And Diti, Harini, you're able to follow? Pujita, Swati. I think this is pretty much clear. This is how execution happens, right? So give me a moment. I'll go back to the tutorial. All right, perfect. So this is a notebook. By the way, guys, all the notebooks which will be discussed in the class are already uploaded on the course module. You can open it at another tab in case you feel like revising if my speed doesn't follow, right? So the first tutorial we'll have during hands-on is Python basics, right? So we'll have a very brief discussion about Python, right? And then we'll talk about built-in types, numbers, operators. Then we go to lists, list operations, list comprehension, list methods. Briefly discuss about tuples, but will not go in depth into tuples. And then we'll go to dictionaries and strings, and then of course flow of control like loops, while, for, all, break, and then handling exceptions, a bit of it, not detail. Then some more functions so that it helps you in your hands-on, right? This is the flow of the tutorial. I think it will take 2 sessions more. So if you're good with all this and you are able to do it, then I'll leave it up to you if you don't want to attend the class also. Right. So coming back to the introduction of Python, very versatile language to write. Of course, the the only disadvantage with Python is like it's not very fast as compared with your C++ or Java. Of course, I'm damn sure you guys will not be able to compare it because our systems are very fast. But in general, when you go to production in the industry, C++ or for example Java or .NET, these are some of the languages which are like very fast in computation. Python is not very fast in computation, but it's very easy to learn, very easy to write, iterate, manipulate. Not that you cannot write a uh, well structured code in Python, you can still do it, but the similar logic can be implemented faster in Java. But for the sake of data science, in the data science context, it somehow is always R language or Python. So you might have heard about R also from multiple sources, but even R comes from a statistician's perspective. Earlier, 1990s, 2000s, R as a tool was used by more statisticians. Wherein they use it to do simple linear regression, just mean, median, mode, or of small data. So Python is more has more of programming perspective. So both languages, let's say, or both ecosystems to be precise, started adding more and more modules. For example, Python started adding statistical modules or APIs, or let's say packages, and some of the very good mathematical computation packages like NumPy, we'll discuss in the next class, is developed in Python. Then data processing is again Pandas. It's a good package. Similarly, R, which was more strong on statistical perspective and also visualization perspective, they started adding more on machine learning and then, of course, deep learning, right? So both ecosystems have developed almost all the functionalities which are required in data science context, right? So today, the similar type of deep learning model can be run in Python and can be run in R. But clearly, Python emerged as a winner, let's say in last 2 years, more than 75% to 80% of the industry is in Python. Why Python emerged as a winner? Because it's easy to plug into other servers, or let's say the server side of Java, or it's easier to deploy, much easier than R and all. R is a clear winner when it comes to more FMCG kind of companies where analysis is more important, stats is more important than deployment of some applications. And that's it. So One thing I'll tell you is like never engage on R versus Python conflict because there's no point in it. I knew R, I knew Python. If you really need something to be implemented in R, the code logic is almost similar. In Python, you call it data frame. In R, you call it data table. It's a dot operator here. It's a comma operator there. Simple changes in syntax, and you should be able to implement most things in R. Yes, Python as yes, it's a lightweighted package with the only thing, the lightness or easiness in which you can write. For example, there was a popular meme. The Java developer comes and says, "Hey, I can write 1,000 times faster code than Python." This Python developer says that, "Hey, my developer is 2,500 times faster than Java developer." So it summarizes most, right? So Python is very too easy to write, very easy to compile, execute everything. Yeah, and it's very light in terms of memory usage also. Right. So we have added up some theory here. You can go back and look at it in case interested. But it's a very versatile language. One thing which data scientists love about Python is you say front end development, you say UI, you say back end, you say databases, or you say rapid prototyping, you say numeric programming, you say gaming. Everywhere Python is already having an ecosystem. So that's the reason it's easier to plug data science models or let's say AI models into all those domains. R doesn't have so much of flexibility. And some of the technical strength, again, object oriented, free, portable, and it's very powerful. And it's a lot. My personal advantages with Python are like a lot of libraries, very vast libraries are available, wherein most of the code which you want to execute functionalities are already there. All you have to know that is such things exist and just type that code and try to understand. Right. So I think you can walk through these guys. So I'll be winding up today's session a bit early because I promised. What's your view on JavaScript and node modules? With respect to Python, I didn't get you that, Raj. What do you mean? JavaScript and node modules integration into with Python? Okay, guys, I'm announcing this again. I am winding up the class for today. So we will discuss Python in detail tomorrow, right? We'll start writing the code and practicing a bit earlier.